Coming to you live from my apartment, it's Rob Has a Podcast. And now here is a man who's proud to say no gastrointestinal distress over here. I'm Rob Cesternino. Hello, everybody. And I'm so excited to have the chance to talk to this person. What a homecoming this is. Somebody who has quietly racked up so many Rob Has a Podcast appearances over the years. Please welcome back, of course. We know her as a three-time legend of Survivor, but I know her as Miss Survivor. Please welcome in. It's Andrea Boehlke. Andrea, how are you?
Hello. Oh my gosh, it's so nice to see you. It's been a while.
It's incredible to see you. You look fantastic, and it's such a nice thing about Survivor 50 that we get to catch up with so many old friends.
Yeah, I haven't been on the podcast in a while.
Yes.
But hey, do you know how many podcasts that we've done together?
Oh, I would guess well into double digits. I don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah.
And I was know? Do you have a list?
I don't, what?
Do you have a list? Do you know?
No, I have no idea.
Okay.
I just thought like Rob, isn't there like Rob, you have like a fact checker.
Oh, well, let's see if the fact checker can pull this up because you came in at the, this is like Malcolm Gladwell could talk about this, that you came in at the perfect time to really stockpile a number of Rob Has a Podcast appearances.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of look at that as the good old days.
Yeah.
You know, It's like the heyday for my Survivor career. You were a staple, always going on, checking in with you, giving you the scoop.
The tea.
Winning Miss Survivor. I'm still bummed that you don't do that anymore. You couldn't handle the drama or what?
There was a lot of drama that came out of that. Do you think we should bring it back? Do you think that because people love drama. Now I think it would be maybe that we could steer into it.
I think you could because I do feel like with online commentary, there was a time where I strayed really far away from the drama because I was really in it. And then I hated having anything negative about me. And now I'm kind of getting back into it. Yeah. Where I don't really have a lot of haters anymore. But I said no to a lot of podcasts, not because I was afraid of haters, but I just didn't want to stir anything up. And now I don't really care. Yeah. So
you need a little bit of heat to keep people interested. So maybe it might be a good time to bring it back.
It's a different time because now any heat is just a flash in the pan. No one cares. They move on. Yeah.
You have a controversy, you just move on. And so I think that people they're looking for, if it's too boring, they don't care.
Yeah. Yeah. I got to keep them hooked.
Okay.
I mean, I've resigned. I was Miss Survivor once. I'm not going to try out again.
We got beyond Survivor. Those are the rules. You have to come back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Now,
so 3 times wasn't enough?
I guess, I mean, you have a legacy. Maybe we could just come back as the first one. It's okay, we've missed all this time. Maybe let's bring in a legacy Miss Survivor to start it back up.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Now, speaking of going back on Survivor, can you tell me, did they call you for Survivor 50?
I did get a call, an initial call, which was shocking.
Yeah. Why is it shocking?
That. I don't know. I mean, I think that I know that Survivor people will say I'm a legend, but I just don't really see myself in that sphere. Sure. But then seeing who was cast, I'm like, oh, I could have easily been out there.
Easily. And especially that one of the complaints about season 50 has been that there's nobody from the 20s who they brought back, really, from that whole era that you're talking about, that early days of Rob Has a Podcast. No you, no Malcolm, nobody from anything in the 20s. And it is a hole in what they put together.
I would have loved to see Malcolm out there. I think for me, I mean, they cast 3 people from Game Changers. Yeah. I think casting another person from Game Changers wasn't going to happen. But it is weird for me watching and going, I could have easily been out there if Aubrey or Ozzy, I mean, obviously Cirie's next level, but it was interesting because I'm like, wow, I actually could have been out there. So they called me and I was like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe this is a possibility. And I'm at a place in my life where I would play again. I'm not dying to play again. I think it's what you want, what you need. Would I want to play again? Sure. Do I need to? No. And for my sanity, it's probably better if I don't go back on reality TV. But I did say yes because that's just such a hard thing to pass up. And then didn't really hear anything back. There was a confusion because I think I confused people on Instagram. I got just a barrage of people asking, if I was contacted for 50, like if I was bummed I wasn't on the cast. I had so many people say, "I'm so sorry you're not cast." And I made like an Instagram post saying just, "Hey, I did get a call, but honestly, you don't have to feel bad for me. I'm so happy to watch my friends and I don't
Yeah.
really need to play again." And then I think people interpreted that as I passed it up because now I have all these people saying, "I can't believe you turned it down." I'm like, "I didn't."
Yeah.
But I think it's just I'm super happy for them, but knowing how much it takes out of you just mentally, physically, emotionally, it's it's not a big deal for me.
Yeah. Well, it would have been great to have seen you go back, and I would have told you definitely go back if you wanted to.
Yeah, let's not let the people forget that when I was contacted for Game Changers,
Yeah.
and for some reason, I guess I told you about it or something.
I
Uh,
think it was, like, widely circulating, like, what the cast list was. It was, like, the rumor mill was really firing up, and I feel like that people just knew who was gonna be on Game Changers.
yeah, and then you reached out and you said, "Do not go on
I
Game
didn't I
Changers."
didn't so you when you were doing the people.com in the morning, not the pen fan forum that I
Mhm.
had come on to talk about whatever season was like leading up to that. And I told you, I was like, "Hey, Andrea, you've got all this going on. What do you need to go back?" And I always one of my biggest professional regrets was that I thought like, what are you like even getting involved in Andrea's business? But it really was from a place of that felt like, you had so much going on. Like, what do you need? You could go and have a bad experience. And then you're like, why did I leave this?
Oh my gosh. I don't you don't have to keep that as one of your professional regrets.
I feel very stupid about that I was like, giving bad advice to people. And I just feel like, hey, if that's what you want, go do it. You only live once.
Yeah, I mean, I it worked out for me, but I totally understand where you're coming from. That was also, what, 10 years ago? So it was a different time, and I was
Yeah.
really branching out and doing all my celebrity TV stuff and, like, really becoming my own as a host, and that was a time where I feel like you kinda had to separate yourself from Survivor a little bit to be taken seriously in the
Hmm.
TV hosting world. Now everything's different and everyone's on a million reality shows, and
Yeah.
so it's the whole media landscape has changed so much in the last 10 years. So now it's kind of like do
Who
whatever show you
cares?
want and
Whatever.
like use whatever you can and it'll all work out. But that was a different time.
Yeah.
And also I think, I was getting opinions from other people. I think my parents didn't want me to play again. So there was other people that also were in my ear. So it's not, yeah, I don't really think too much about that.
Okay, well, what are you working on these days? What do you have you been busy with?
Well, so I kind of view my career as I climbed the ladder so hard in New York. And I've done the coolest things ever. I mean, I worked for People magazine for 7 years. I've interviewed everybody,
Mhm.
Robert De Niro, Brad Pitt, all of that. I still do New Year's Eve in Times Square for the ball drop, did stuff for Good Morning America. Like
Yeah.
I've had such a fun life and career. Now I'm on the come down. So I am not climbing the ladder. I'm just focused on being happy. I'm still super busy and I'm only working in TV media. So
Mhm.
that's so cool. And I'm so grateful that that's even possible because I'm back in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
So I host a TV show out here called Discover Wisconsin. I host and produce a Wisconsin podcast. I mean,
Yeah, I've
Wisconsin's
seen the
brand.
clips of it.
Yeah, and it's doing
It
well.
looks great.
Yeah, and if you like Wisconsin, then it's for you. It's very niche, but that's been going so well. And then just like random stuff.
Yeah.
I've been filming a movie in April. I just shot a commercial in Florida.
Oh.
So I still audition a lot. I've kind of just sprinkling in like a more of a steady job with the podcast and the TV shows out here, but then also taking other opportunities that come my way. So honestly, I think this is the happiest and most stable I've been maybe in my life. So
Wow.
that's why when Survivor 50 was an option, yes, I would do it, but I'm just so happy and I finally feel like my life kind of just started in a way because I just dealt with so much mental health stuff in my late 20s and when I was on Survivor that now I'm like, wow, I'm so happy and I'm maybe doing less cool stuff than I used to do, but it's just really the age old tale
Yeah.
of that the most money, like the year I made the most money and did the coolest stuff and the biggest interviews, I was extremely depressed. So now, like, maybe my stuff's not as cool, but I
But
love
cool
it.
in whose eyes,
No,
It's
exactly,
it's
exactly.
like, okay, oh, that people that you don't really know are gonna be more impressed with things that weren't making you happy. Like, that's not the right way to go. So,
No, exactly,
yeah.
yeah.
So very happy to hear that for you. And I know you have some Survivor stuff going on locally that next week, from what I understand, you have a huge event coming up where you're gonna be welcoming one of the cast members of Survivor 50.
Dragon Slayer coming to Milwaukee. Yeah, so I've been doing watch parties in Milwaukee. When I think I started them a few years ago,
Mhm.
just kind of casually put it on my Instagram story. Like any city, there's a huge fan base of Survivor watchers. And we do these parties, and then it's kind of built into, sometimes they'll do a bigger event, like one a year. So this year, Coach is coming in. It's going to be a watch party of season 50 and then a concert
Concert, yeah.
with Coach and Ben Katzman, because they're starting their tour, Slaying Across America tour. Then a DJ set by DJ Jerry Manthe.
Wow.
Killer lineup.
Yes. Wow. Coach and Jerry reunited from Heroes versus Villains. I mean, that's going to be quite a lineup.
It's going to be so fun. Maybe my last event because it is a lot to plan.
Will
Just
you
all the
perform musically?
Do I?
Yeah.
No.
Oh,
But I juggle.
that's
Yeah, I have a lot of skills, like party tricks, like the worm, as you know,
yeah.
juggling, the splits,
Mhm.
back bend, stuff like that, which I'm always willing to whip out. I mean, there's always like with these events, you know how it goes. I'm like super stressed out about the projector, and I'm like, if the projector just stops working with 350 people,
Listen,
like
you don't need to tell
I
me
will be
about that.
selling that stage. Like I will be putting on a show.
Mhm. Okay, well, let's get into the show that we're here to talk about. And Survivor 50, I've just really enjoyed this first 4.5 hours of Survivor 50. What's been your experience with the kickoff of Survivor 50?
I love it. I think it's so good. It's so funny.
Hmm.
I Overall, I love it. I think it's poppin'. I think I have a probably similar take as a lot of super fans is I just don't need as many of the twists or like
Yeah.
this swap coming up. Like I want to see now the relationships they built, but besides that, I just think it's super fun.
Does this in any way feel like Game Changers, where that was another season that you were in with all these old returning players who've come back from, the new school and the old school coming back together in any way?
It does feel like game changers because you have legends and then you have people that only played once.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of a weird mix up. It kind of felt like the Game Changers cast where you're like, okay, so Cirie's here and JT and then Sierra Dawn Thomas, who played once and wasn't like a huge character. So it's kind of like this mix of like, what is this season? But for Game Changers, I just remember when Jeff told us the theme, I was like, what?
Yeah.
And then all the interviews were like, how'd you change the game? And I'm like,
Hmm.
I don't know. I went home with an idol. Like, I don't know if that's like really game changing, but it was like, it's an interesting mix up of people.
For sure. But this season, I do feel like that the players seem like they're having so much fun, and it's such a mishmash of everybody, but I really feel like that the players are having fun, and the show, I feel like, is having fun giving us a lot of these character moments of these players where I feel like it hasn't been so much game in the early going of the season. Is that how you felt?
Yeah, I mean, that's what makes Survivor the best. I feel like the first episode, I was watching with a group of people, so I was in like a booth and maybe I was in a giggle bubble, but I was like laughing so hard.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, my face was hurting. I'm like, is this actually this funny or are we just like caught in a giggle bubble? Like, I just thought it's like highlighting all of the characters. So I think they're doing such a good job of showing the personalities.
I really feel like it's been maybe the calm before the storm, because when we take a look at this, and now, of course, we're in the new era where it's only a 26-day season, and we're 6 days into Survivor 50, and only 3 people went home, and we even had a medical evacuation. We would have had only 2 people have gone home. I like what they've done here, where I feel like they're letting the players get to know each other and play. And then I wonder at some point, are we just going to have to increase the speed in which people are going home?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, probably. It's probably going to be less fun, I think, as we go on.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if that answered your question.
No, I think that this is really like the nice happy time, and maybe we'll look back at this where it's going to really turn into this war of attrition very soon in the game. And I feel like that we have how many 20 days to get rid of, I don't know, like 18, 19 people.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of where, like, I'm kind of bummed to see that there's in the preview that there's a swap,
Hmm.
because then it's just going to be a little bit like luck.
Yeah.
Which I don't love, but that is kind of the new era thing where it's like a lot is more luck based than maybe, older Survivor. But yeah, I feel like once we swap, and then it's just going to be kind of like they're going to have to speed it up.
Yeah, can you remind me in Game Changers? I remember that it was like I think it was just a 2-hour episode to start that off, but there was, I think Cirie went home and Tony went home, and then there was a swap. And then you all swapped to, was it did you stay in 2 tribes or did you go to 3 tribes after that?
This is why I've been avoiding Robin's podcast
You don't
for
remember.
years now. I have the memory of a goldfish. Like, you'd be better
Yeah.
having like a super fan representing me on this podcast. Let me think though. So we did switch into 3 tribes.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, that makes
I know
sense.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no,
And
wait. So yeah, maybe Brandon can pop on. I believe we swapped into 3 tribes, and then we swapped back into 2 right before merge.
okay. Yeah. So when you have these groups and where you were in the group that didn't even go to a tribal council, right? And now you go into a swap. How are these players that kind of know each other from the outside, but how do you think they're going to approach a swap?
Well, I think in all these returning seasons, there is the element of pre-gaming
Yeah.
and people that kind of know each other. So even just at the basic level of, oh, we're friends on Instagram, I think like if you have anything connecting you, you have an advantage over other people that have never met, that maybe even aren't on social media. Like someone like Colby's not going to do great in a swap. But somebody that's a little bit more active and has been in the community probably is going to have a huge advantage because they've at least like associated with some of these other people. I mean, the swap's going to be moving so fast, and it's just going to be kind of like a luck and who you can grab. But then it comes down to social skills. So
Yeah.
still have to kind of, work your way into it.
Well, I would love to know if you have any thoughts on how these players approach this pre-gaming, where almost feel like that the older school players put more stock into it than the newer school players do.
Interesting. I don't know. I would say I can't imagine Colby and Stephanie did a ton of pre-gaming outside of pre-gaming together.
Hmm.
That'd be my guess.
Yeah.
I would think though that I don't know if I mean, I think that, for example, on Game Changers, now that's we're going back a bit, but Game Changers, the final 3, can I say this? I don't know.
No.
But like I think it's known. Like Sarah, Troyzan, and Brad, they like apparently, I'm gonna say allegedly in
Yeah.
case everybody's mad at me, they all like met up
Yeah.
before the season. I think that's out there.
I think
So
we
like
heard that.
that
Yeah.
they like all physically met up. And so
Hmm.
that was the final 3. Like it's kind of crazy. Or like I do think the seasons I've been on, the people that pregame the most, sometimes it can bite you, but a lot
Sure.
of times it does help you. Like you have to do some sort of pre-gaming or you will be left behind. So I'm imagining on this season, there probably was a bit of it. Now, of course, once the season starts, it kind of helps, but also it all depends on dynamics. I don't know how much like the new school players would abide to like pre-game alliances, but it, yeah, you kind of have
Yeah.
to do a little bit. I mean, is
But
that your experience?
so I don't know that the pre-gaming for the one season that I went back on, it was definitely happening, but I also feel like that nobody had ever played before together in Survivor All-Stars. So they had announced that they were going to do Survivor All-Stars, then everybody was talking to everybody, But then you had Boston Rob, who was really the one person who didn't really put any stock into the deals that were made for people. And I don't know if it was necessarily deals, but it was a little bit of like, hey, watch out for me, you watch out, like we'll work together. And it was sort of like more loosely based rather than, I think, than This Is the Alliance. But I think that was a lot of the drama in that season, where Lex felt like that Rob went back on whatever sort of assurances he had before the game and in the game. And Rob was like, didn't you and Tom and Kathy have a deal beforehand? And then they've always like denied that was the case. So there was definitely, it was a part of that season.
I mean, I will say on Game Changers, I did way less than I did for the season before Fans vs. Favorites. And I did pretty well. So I would say, yeah, on Game Changers, because I didn't know that much of the cast. So who did I even talk to?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Troyzan and I like FaceTimed a few times before Game Changers, and we didn't work together on the show. So I think that it is kind of.
But he did take modeling pictures of you, right? On the beach. Click, 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 click.
He did.
Yes.
Yes. The click, click. But we never even worked together on the show. So I probably talk. So I feel like, yeah, sometimes
it can go either way.
It can go either way. So I don't know. Sometimes I'm not too worried about the pre-gaming.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me where we saw Savannah be the player who got voted out last week, and then Jenna Lewis even before her, who was kind of like, you had, interesting, the person who was from the oldest season and then the person from the newest season, both were kind of left out in terms of talking to anybody beforehand. Do you feel like that Savannah was in a really bad spot coming right off of playing in season 49?
Yeah. I mean, look, I really like Savannah. I loved watching her game.
Reporter.
Yes, fellow reporter. I respect it. I really like her. She's a great character. She's super smart. She clocked Cirie. She knew exactly what Cirie was doing. I don't know if like it was really the best to have Savannah and Rizzo on like right away. Because like 2 weeks, like how do you even get to reflect on your game? And then she has a complete disadvantage with people knowing she won. And if people don't know her game, they don't trust her game. She goes on the journey. I think going on that journey, it just kind of seals the deal. I really don't think she stood a chance. And so I wish they would have cast somebody different. Not that I don't want to see Savannah play again, but just give some.
No, I come down the same way, and nothing against Savannah. We'll see how it goes for Rizzo, but it seemed like that they were up against so much opposition to come back, and nobody knew who they were, and they could just do more returning player seasons. And this isn't necessarily a new take or a hot take. I've actually come around a little bit more on the 48 people that are in the cast, where I was so impressed with what Kyle did. I think that Joe is getting a lot of flack, and we'll talk about him, but I think that he is an interesting player that the other players are forced to work around. I always think that's fun to have on the show. And Camilla is, very funny to watch. So I don't have as much of an issue with the 48 people, but to bring the 49 people right back, where they could just do more returning player seasons instead of having, say, Marianne or Andy or some, Jesse or Carolyn, like, there were other people that, wouldn't have come in so disadvantaged that we could have brought back for season 50.
And we just saw them.
Yeah.
And look, and I love, big fan, Savannah and RizGod. Yeah, really entertaining. I think they should have more returning seasons. And this one, as 50, should have been more legendary mainstays of Survivor. I mean, you just listed somebody like Jerry Manthe would have been so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jesse, whatever happened with Carolyn. Like, there's just,
Well,
but everyone, I feel like that's.
Yes, we're all on the same page with this. But do you think that based off of the success of season 50 so far, do you think that it's more likely we're going to get more returning player seasons?
I hope so. I like returning seasons.
Yeah.
Because we already know the characters and then we see them grow. And I think so. I mean, obviously everyone was super hyped for this and CBS did a lot for it, but I want to see more returning seasons. There's so many. I sometimes think about this, even though part of me doesn't like that I played Survivor at 21, 23, and 26. It was before my personality was truly formed, before my prefrontal cortex was formed. And it wasn't like my true self. Like, I think after those seasons, I became more of who I am now. So that I kind of wish I had started Survivor maybe in my 30s. However,
Same.
if I didn't play back then, I would not have played 3 times. Facts. Like, you look at someone even like I look at, like, Cassidy. She had such a great story, similar to player as me, and, like, we may never see her again. So, I am grateful that I got to play 3 times, and I think it only would have happened playing in, like, the 20s, starting at,
Mhm.
like, 22.
So in Survivor Game Changers, you had a very close relationship with Cirie, and we got to see Cirie really on full display last night. And we saw her go to work to try to help her new BFF, Ozzy. And it did seem like that the origins of that friendship was happening in Survivor Game Changers and is carried over to this season. But we got to see Cirie, who was in kind of a bad spot last week, really take the lead based off of what we saw in the show to make the case against Savannah. What have you thought about watching Cirie so far?
Oh my gosh, I just love Cirie. I mean, she was so fun to play with, and that has gotten me a little nostalgic watching her. When she and Emily Flippen were on the hammock plotting strategy, I was like, "Oh, that used to be me." Like we used to sit in the hammock and plot. But I think she's so good. I also recognize something when I played Game Changers. I was very surprised with how when Cirie strategizes, it's like in front of everybody. It was really shocking when it first happened. Everyone could be around the campfire and she'll put her hand right here like she did on the show and she'll be like, "All right, we got to get JT out." And you're like, "What? He's right here." Like he's 2 feet away and you're like really like, "Ah, okay, now it's happening." So, I did like see a little bit of that as well, but she's just so fun to work with. I think with Cirie, she's somebody that she's someone you want to get close to because she does respect having people in her alliance. And I think like people are so afraid of her, but if you actually decide to align with her, she won't just cut you for no reason. So when with Jenna going out and like targeting her right away, I'm like Jenna could have just came to Cirie and been in her core group. Cirie's really fun to play with because she's not going to just make a crazy big move decision for just to do it. She's actually like really would want to work with you. So yeah, I think the players that decide to kind of work with her instead of like targeting her are going to go further.
Yeah, from watching her on Big Brother and getting to see how she played even in that, seems like she likes to have like a group of people to talk things through with. And she's talked about you as being like a person who she likes to have somebody who's like really more of the strategy person that she can bounce like. And you would think of Cirie as the strategy person, but I've heard her say this in interviews that she likes to have like an Andrea or an Izzy or somebody that she could really bounce some of these ideas off of.
Yeah, I mean, she's very collaborative. And so I see that the way she's strategizing with Emily Flippen, with other people, it reminded me of playing with her and she's really fun to play with. Now, she's very smart. So she could make it seem like, oh, that was Andrea's idea to
Hmm.
do that. But I do think she hears you out and she actually wants to work together as a group. And those are the people I like working with. Like I don't want to work with somebody, a lot of like the newer players, I feel like just for any rhyme or reason they'll just flip. Like I still will always kind of have more of an old school approach.
Yeah.
And I think Cirie's definitely that. Now in Game Changers, it was funny because it was Cirie, Ozzy, and me and Aubrey. And Ozzy, we were working with him, but Ozzy, I think at that point still had a guard up. He wanted to trust women in general. Like, after he got like totally like wrecked in the past,
Yeah.
like he wanted to trust us, but he was just like, I don't want to get burned again. But we were like down with Ozzy. So I think with Game Changers, he learned, oh, I actually can trust some people. And then now we're seeing that come to fruition where he had enough of that experience with Cirie knowing, oh wait, okay, we actually are working together. Because Ozzy and I, when we both got voted out, I was like, Ozzy, I was working with you. And he's like, well, I was working with you too. I didn't know. I wasn't like 100%. I'm like, oh, I was like totally down with you. So I think maybe now he's a little bit more eager to like trust those relationships. Then of course, what happens on Survivor, he'll get
Yeah.
burned or something.
Okay.
But
Well, here's Ozzy trusting in these relationships. We saw Ozzy give his extra vote to Cirie. Did you think that that was a good move for Ozzy?
I tend to think yes in this situation. I mean, Cirie went out on a limb to save him. And if I don't think at that point, I mean, I don't know. It's something I would have also done. Cirie clearly, I think he had enough information to know, wait, no, Cirie is actually with me
Mhm.
and she's actually changing this narrative. And so I do think that they had enough of that bond that that really shows Cirie like, no, I'm with you. And Cirie would take Ozzy to the end. So if he realizes, wait, no, Cirie actually would take me to the end, then he's best to like do everything he can to kind of like be aligned with her.
Yeah.
Why do you disagree?
I don't. Well, I think it was probably a smart move for Ozzy right now because I think that Cirie is going to do more with it. But now, if there's going to be a swap and they're going to be split up, I think Ozzy might need that extra vote. But I just can't help also forget about what happened in Survivor Game Changers when Sarah gave Cirie an extra vote to hold on or steal a vote, and you were, I believe, had just gotten to the jury at that point when then Sarah said, "Here, Cirie, you can hold on to this." And then she tried to steal Sarah's vote to vote Sarah out with her own vote. And then, of course, famously non-transferable. And then that really set up for Advantage Get-In to happen next. So I think that sometimes you can put too much trust in Cirie and then she has another plan.
I agree. I do think at this point in the game, it's early enough where
Yeah.
like you kind of have the idea that like that wouldn't happen now. I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm super biased because like I've worked with Cirie and I've worked with Ozzy, so I just am like, well, that's not in they wouldn't Cirie wouldn't do that now.
Yeah,
But that's
it's
something
early.
different.
It's early. I think that maybe the better move for Ozzy would have been, "Hey, Cirie, I have this extra vote. Can you tell me what to do with it?" rather than give it to her. But I guess it must have been such a sign of trust. I'm just worried for Ozzy now. Him and Cirie are going to get split up, and now he's not going to have that extra vote. Yes, he got Cirie's trust, but maybe is he going to end up in a situation where he needed that extra vote?
Well, did he give it to her or
I
did he
thought he was giving
say,
it to her, yeah, and Cirie, because
"Oh,
Cirie said, "In 5 seasons, I've never had an advantage before," so I think he did pass it off.
oh, I thought he was just letting her hold on to it for tribal and was gonna get it back. 'Cause I
Mm,
did that I mean, Dawn forced me to do that in Caramoan, and so I gave her my idol to hold on to just at tribal, which was kinda stupid, but, it's
yeah.
always a risk. I thought he was just giving it to her to hold on to for, like, 1
I'm pretty sure
vote.
he gave it to her to keep.
Okay, then I take what I said back.
Okay, good. Because I totally get where he's coming from in terms of the gesture of like, "Hey, I don't really know what's going on. I trust you. I want you to trust me. I wanna be best friends out here, and so here's this, gesture that I'm making." I just worry for Ozzy that maybe he and not necessarily that Cirie is gonna betray him, but the game changes so much that there may be a situation where he does need that, but he does have an idol.
Yeah, I guess I didn't re I yeah,
And
man.
apologize if I have it wrong, but I do believe he gave it to her.
No, you might be right.
Yeah.
I yeah,
I wanna
you might
know
be right.
from your perspective, is Cirie comfortable right now in this tribe?
Uh I mean, she's always kinda thinking through things. I don't think she's super comfortable.
Yeah.
Um, Cerie's always at risk. On Game Changers, if our original tribe would have, um, gone to tribal, they were saying that either Cirie or because I was closely aligned with her or me would have been
Mhm.
first out. So, I don't think Cerie's gonna be feeling super comfortable.
Yeah. I think that she's kinda just going through the motions with Christian and Rick and Emily right now, and I think that she's doing a really good job of faking it, but I feel like that in her heart of hearts, she's not feeling absolutely amazing about this group, and I think that she might even welcome the tribe swap.
Yeah, because right now, I mean, yeah, she is Ozzy, but then that's also kind of a power duo. It's not looking great for her. So I think the swap will be helpful.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about this Billie Eilish Boomerang Idol, because that it's an idol that you have to send to somebody to end up getting them. If they get voted out with the idol in their pocket, then it comes back to you. Now, Andrea, you were one of the people who sadly did get voted out with an idol in your pocket. Even more sadly, than you lost your hidden immunity idol on the streets of New York.
Yeah, it's gone forever. I still am wondering where it went. It could have been, it was either stolen from me.
Mm-hmm.
I went to a party at Eliza's
Mm-hmm.
house. There were like 7 of us there. And then I left, and when I was on the train, I went into my pocket and I realized my idol was gone.
Yeah.
And so I texted Eliza and I said, "Hey, I left my idol there. Can you just like give it to me the next time I see you?" And she was like, "We don't see it here." They looked under the couch, everything, and apparently just disappeared. It
Mm-hmm.
vanished into thin air.
Yes. Now, it was too early for Genevieve to have been at that party to go through your bag. But in thinking back, did anybody like sit down and have like a long conversation with you that maybe that somebody might have been trying to distract you so they could steal your idol?
I don't know. It was a bunch of Survivor players and one Survivor fan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I don't know. I'm just gonna trust that all those people didn't steal it because I can't show it to anyone.
Mm-hmm.
Or I guess it just fell out on the streets of New York. I don't know.
One or the other. Okay. It's one
It's
of
a huge bummer.
great unsolved mystery of
But
Survivor.
that idol was not from Billie Eilish.
No. Okay.
So yeah, does Billie Eilish need more promo? Or like, or they have to say her name every time,
I think
huh?
the hope was that Billie Eilish was going to tell people about the Billie Eilish Boomerang Idol, but it doesn't seem like Billie Eilish is telling anybody about that. Hey, did you, to all my fans, you should check out Survivor to hear about the Billie Eilish Boomerang Idol.
Like I would think that they would have a video pop up of Billie explaining
You would
it
think so.
because it's kind of just random, and I do think, yeah, I don't know, but I mean, kind of interesting concepts, better than the Tyler Perry idol, I would
Mhm.
say.
Did you see that Tyler Perry was going to put Joe in one of his new shows?
That's for sure happening, right?
Yeah, I saw the headlines that Tyler Perry is still keeping a close eye on Survivor.
Kind of salty because I've interviewed for Tyler Perry. I've done several auditions for him.
Yeah.
But I also interviewed him too, and he's very sweet.
Yes.
But no, I'm happy for Joe. That's awesome. Because Tyler Perry is a huge Survivor fan. When I interviewed him when I was working at People, at the very end, I said something about the Tyler Perry idol, and he's like, "What? Wait, no, that's where I know you from." And he was like freaking out. So he was like, "No, I love Survivor," and he was so cool. So I saw that. That's really exciting.
Yeah. Okay, so the Billie Eilish Boomerang Idol, we saw that Christian found it and he sent it to one of your other friends from Survivor. Aubrey was the recipient of the Tyler Perry, or I'm sorry, the Billie Eilish Boomerang Idol. It seemed like it meant so much to Aubrey.
Yeah, I think Aubrey is having a tough start to the season. And I mean, she obviously didn't know that they went through her bag, but I think getting that, it was very emotional for her. And that like melt my heart. Like I love Aubrey so much.
Yeah.
She was the shining light on Game Changers for me. I think Game Changers was my third favorite season to play. It was just like a darker season. And Aubrey and I, when we met at the merge, became just attached at the hip. And I like love her so much. So obviously rooting for her this season. And I was like, when I saw everybody go through her bag, I was really
Yeah.
sad. So I was glad she got the idol.
Was there any particular reason for, I know obviously you have the Jeff Varner and Zeke incident, but was it more than that in terms of there being a darkness over that season?
I think that, yeah, the Varner thing was bad.
Yeah.
That was bad. And then I feel like just for me personally, it was like Zeke then came after me for no reason, just to make a big move.
Mhm.
And then I was at the bottom. And then sometimes when you're in alliances, but in quotations, like the enemy or like the person,
Yeah.
the opposing alliance, like on Caramoan, the opposing alliance was Malcolm, Eddie, Reynolds. It was hilarious. So it was kind of like, if, you got me this time, I'm going to get you next time. It was all playful.
Yeah.
This time I was just on the bottom with Aubrey, it was, Brad and Troyzan and Debbie and Sierra, and they were just not
Yeah.
super nice to us. The vibes at camp were not it. It was just like
Yeah.
brutal. Like I couldn't stop crying. I'm surprised they didn't show me as a wreck on this season. They never even showed it. I actually got excused from an interview, a confessional one time because I couldn't stop crying. I also think I was just struggling as a person without it's kind of that illuminated that for me of, oh, okay, I'm not bright-eyed bushy-tailed like I used to be. So it was just it was a tough
Yeah.
season. Like camp life wasn't fun.
Okay. Aubrey has also talked about her struggles with the game, and she has this love-hate relationship with Survivor, and we've really seen her talking about that. And I think it's been a contrast to so many of the other players that are like, oh my God, I can't believe it. I'm back. This is so great. I'm so joyful. And I think that's been really interesting in terms of Aubrey's character that she's willing to explore. Like, this is a struggle for me. I'm not sure if this is feels right that I'm here. But we saw her by the end of this episode starting to have like a little bit of hope now.
Yeah. I mean, she was really vulnerable about it. I think it's tough with Aubrey. She's so smart, but she has a guard up when you first meet her, and it takes a little bit for her to trust you. And what she maybe isn't as good at as some players is faking it.
Yeah.
So when you saw that scene in the first episode with Genevieve and Aubrey, it was kind of like Aubrey was like the godfather, like being like, tell me what you got. Like she was just like, you could tell she was eyeing her up. And that's how I felt like when I first met Aubrey at the merge, is I was like, I want to work with her. But I don't think she trusts me. And then once you can like prove that to her, then it's like she trusts you, she's great, it's amazing. But I think maybe, she just has a guard up a little bit and can't hide her face with it. And so I think that's why some of the people aren't like bonding with her right away. But once you like get close with her, she's like the best to work with. So I don't know. It just seems like maybe a tough go at it to start, but happy that she found a little bit of that hope with the Billie Eilish idol.
Yes. Were you surprised that Aubrey came back again?
Uh, no, because I think Aubrey and I are really similar, where we both will say we are not doing Survivor again. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
And then I totally get why she would do it. It's so hard to see. You're like, okay, one more time. You're like, one more time. Like I can do it again. But I think we're older now. Like that's why I would be down to do it again because I think the recovery time. I think I could bounce back. I think I could care less about what people say about me online. I think hopefully the anxiety would be lower. So I think with like my communication with Aubrey over the last few years is she's really in a good place in her life. And I think that she probably felt like she could handle it because Aubrey was my girl. Like after the season, we would talk all the time
Yeah.
to kind of like help each other mentally get through the process. Like a lot of Survivor people can understand how it's one thing to go and play, but then you wait for the season to come and you're just dreading what are they going to show? What are they going to make me the villain? I mean, am I going to look terrible because I said this one thing about that person and then the online hate and getting like death threats and it's just like it's a lot. As much as you're like I know myself, I wouldn't, I don't care what other people think. It's just so hard.
It's so interesting to see the people who come back to this over and over and over again. And I certainly myself would, be thinking about like all of those things. Do you think it's more about that people want to come back for the experience? Or do you think that everybody is coming back because, okay, well, this time I'm going to win?
Probably different for everybody, but I think for me, it's everything. It's like, man, it's so fun. It's the coolest thing ever. The chance to do it again. It's like such an honor to be asked back. And it's so fun. I mean, the game of Survivor is so fun and just like the opportunities are endless. It's like I could go and win this game and I could win a ton of money. Or just even like going out there and meeting all these new people and like all the things that come from it and like the fun of it, the dopamine of it. There's just like a million reasons to say yes. And I would imagine it's like I haven't had a baby, but how people describe like, when you're as somebody that's not a baby, I have no idea. But it's like so hard to go through.
Mike White said the same thing recently. So
yeah, he said it on the show.
Show. I think he said it on Tonight Show. He said it with Jimmy Fallon, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's not an original idea. I think many people have said it, but it's kind of like it's like you forget how bad it was. You're thinking of like the highlights and the best parts, and then you play again, like we saw Aubrey talk about, and then you're like reminded of how much it actually kind of sucks.
Mm-hmm. So I'd love to talk a little bit about this issue with Joe and Rick Devens. I think that this was really one of the more interesting things about the episode this week. Just this clash of styles in terms of having to play around Joe. What was your take on how this played out and why these two people are sort of not on the same frequency?
I mean, I think my original thought was, oh boy, Joe would be really hard to play with. Then I kind of thought about it a little bit more, and also really see where Joe is coming from because in the scene, because Joe wants to align with Devens, like be really close. Like I believe he wants to be like number one, like they're in an alliance together.
Hmm.
And then you did see Devens lean over and whisper to Savannah. So I don't disagree. I double negative. I agree with Joe's wanting to approach Rick and be like, "Hey, what was that about?" The way he did it was really abrasive,
Hmm.
like it was like, "Whoa," like I could feel Rick's stress of how it was how he approached it. But I kind of also see where Joe is coming from because it was right in front of him. Like if I was in an alliance with somebody and then they leaned over and did a I'd be like, "Wait, what's
Yeah.
that about?" But I don't know, it's like then as a Survivor player, you're forced to be like, "All right, I'm gonna put a pin in that, I guess," because normally you're not gonna approach them. So Joe approached him, but he maybe could have done it a little better.
Yeah.
What was your thought?
I really think that Joe has been interesting to watch this season. And I wasn't the biggest Joe guy in Survivor 48, but I think that the compelling storyline for me about Joe here is that he comes into Survivor 50 so openly wounded after what happened to him in Survivor 48. And when they played this season, it was only about 2 weeks after Survivor 48 had aired, and he's still processing. Kyle and Camilla, I thought they were my friends, and they did this whole okey doke on me. And now I'm really on the lookout for, and I'm not going to get dunked on again in season 50. So he's really like looking of like, okay, who are the people that I think I can trust that might be trying to play me? I'm not going to let that happen again. And I think he really is trying to build like a foundation of trust. And I get it from the other players that he might be a lot to, or even Savannah this morning in my exit interview with her was really implying it was hard to deal with Joe. But I almost feel like that there was an opportunity to, like, if you sat down with Joe and really, put the time in. And I know everybody wants to go fast, fast, fast and play. And I got to go look for idols. I got to talk to everybody. But I really feel like if you put the time investment into Joe, I think he could be a really great ally, but nobody really seems to want to give him the time to really put him at ease.
Yeah, it's kind of like a relationship,
Yeah.
right? And we all have love languages. And I kind of see it as like, okay, so Joe's a little anxiously attached, like he's a little anxious and maybe he needs a little bit more reassurance, like his love language is words of affirmation.
Yeah.
So like I would approach it like if I was
Or
like
maybe
Rick.
quality time.
Yeah, yeah, he needs quality time and words of affirmation. Actually, that's two different things I was talking about. There's attachment theory. Can you tell I've like dove into this because I'm anxious? I have anxious attachment,
Yeah.
and my love language is words of affirmation. So what I do in my
And you're doing
relationship,
great.
and what I do in my relationship is like how you can also approach Survivor, where like sometimes I just need a little bit more assurance. And my love language, and because I'm anxiously attached, I need some words of affirmation. So I'll ask for it. So I'll say, hey, everything does seem like it's going well. I just sometimes need a little words of affirmation. It's my love language. Like, are we good? And then my boyfriend will be like, oh, yeah, like we're great. Like
Hmm.
everything's good. But like, thanks for bringing that up. And then there's no problem. So maybe like what Joe could have done is said, like, instead of saying, what are you guys talking about? Because that was jarring. I think it could be like, hey, I got really wounded on my last season. I might be a little bit more paranoid than I should be. I kind of saw you lean down to Savannah. I'm sure it was nothing. Can you put me at ease and maybe just like, is there anything up? Like, I just want to make sure like you're my person and I really want to go to the end with you. And if you could just kind of like, once in a while, throw me a bone and maybe like make sure I know everything's good. Like maybe that would have been better.
Yeah. Did you ever play with anybody who was this type of player that really needed like a little bit more time and attention to feel good?
Now, I don't wanna compare because it's hard. I didn't play with Joe, so I don't we're just seeing what's on
Yeah,
Reddit. Um, Playing with Dawn was like that.
interesting.
Like, Dawn, I can't compare the 2 because again, I only played with Dawn. Dawn was someone we had to give a lot of assurance to. I mean, I had to give her my idol for her to hold on to because she was so worried that I was gonna blindside her and I was gonna switch the plan up, but I had been working with Dawn so closely, there was I don't know, I mean, it's Survivor, anything can
Hmm.
happen, but where sometimes you had to go out of your way to make sure they felt good, but I think on a show like Survivor, where you're playing for a big money prize, it's like, you gotta do whatever it takes to make those people feel comfortable. Maybe it was unbearable. I don't know. I feel like Rick could have tried to been like, all right, this is kind of annoying to deal with, but I am going to give him what he needs and make sure he feels good. And maybe he felt like he was doing that. It's hard though. Like this reminds me too of like you have to check in with people so much on Survivor, and sometimes you'll think everything's good, but it's not. Like I didn't check in on Zeke enough. Just and I totally understand where that's coming from. Like Zeke wanted me as his alliance member to check in with him and make sure like everything was good, especially after what happened. But I like stupidly was just like, we're good. Yeah. Like I'm sure he's good. If he has any thing he wants to talk about, like he'll come to me. Like he knows I love him and like care about him, especially in this moment. But then because I didn't check in on him, he started to wonder like,
Yeah.
is Andrew really with me? And then that builds and builds and builds.
I got to
So
strike
sometimes
first now.
yeah, so you have to like kind of see like what does this person need and what can how can I make sure they feel good and check in like as much as you can.
Yeah.
But yeah, like of course at that point you have to decide what's worth it for your game.
Maybe this is a whole rabbit hole in terms of Dawn, but was there something that happened in Dawn's first season that made her feel that way in Survivor Caramoan? Because we've seen a lot of South Pacific nostalgia here with Coach and Ozzy, and I just don't remember that being part of her story from what we saw in Survivor South Pacific. And I don't even remember her being blindsided. I feel like, if anything, she was sort of like a tough lady who was a challenge beast. And yeah, Cochran flipped at the merge, but that really wasn't part of her Survivor story in Survivor South Pacific, but she comes back and then famously is that way in Caramoan.
Yeah, I mean, I think it could run deeper than Survivor. I mean, I think it could be wounds from your past
Yeah.
before you were ever on the show. I mean, it just brings out so much and it brings out this paranoia that it makes you feel like you're going crazy.
Hmm.
And so I think on Caramoan, she just somehow like got into this paranoid cycle and couldn't break it. And it's just, it honestly just Survivor makes you feel nuts. So I don't know if there was anything that happened on her first season, but it could even just be like somehow it brought up something from, and I mean, honestly, it's like right to be paranoid.
Yeah.
You know, you're asking people to remain calm on a show that's all about actually backstabbing people and lying to their face. So I get it. I in that situation with Devens and with Joe, I saw both sides. And
Yeah.
I was just like, I wonder how we could tinker this to make it work. But I could see where both sides were coming from.
So speaking of South Pacific, that was basically you coming right off of Redemption Island. This is when
You mean
you're
Caramon? Caramon.
no, I'm talking about you. That so you come off of Redemption Island, and then here comes South Pacific, the season right
Oh,
after you.
yeah, yeah.
And you're really in it at that point, right? You're of course, like locked into all things Survivor. And of course, now here are Coach and Ozzy from that season. What has it been like for you watching this Coach and Ozzy reunited after all this time?
I mean, I think it's fun. I don't know. I'm not someone that when I watch a show, especially Survivor, because it's just so close to home, like
Hmm.
I don't hate anybody. I don't find anyone super abrasive. I can find like things about their game where I'm like, they could have done that differently. But I think that rivalry is
Yeah.
hilarious. And
And
they both take themselves pretty seriously, you know?
Are you conflicted at all? Because you did play with Ozzy, but now you're doing this event with Coach.
No, I think you can love both.
It's not like a Team Edward, Team Jacob situation. You have to
No,
pick
I
one.
no, I don't think you have to choose. I mean, I'm pretty sure that they're like they're reuniting in Chicago a day after my event.
Oh, Coach and
Well,
Ozzy?
because yeah,
Yes.
you should look at their Instagram. There's a whole video where says or where Ozzy says I'm gonna be at Coach's Chicago show if he wants me there or not.
Oh,
And then you
okay.
can still buy tickets for the Chicago show.
Yeah.
So they're getting back together.
Okay. All right. So, what do you think about in the real time of the show in terms of Coach and Ozzy? Do you think that they will get back together in the season, or is there too much bad blood over the Key Gate?
I feel like the edit is hyping it up that they're gonna get together.
You think
They're
so?
also, I mean, that's my guess. I don't really know. I'm not spoiled or anything,
Yeah.
but I think that the edit is telling me there's more to this, and maybe it's gonna get worse before it gets better. But I could see they're old school, so they know each other,
Mhm.
and you'd rather have someone you know than somebody that you've never met in your life. Like, you could probably trust your adversary in this situation than, like, Rizzo or someone, like, you've never met that you don't know what their game is.
Yeah. You're supposed to be able to trust your enemies a little bit because your enemies are going to try to, make it up to you. They're going to try to prove, okay, you were right for trusting them. But then that's kind of what happened with Coach Ozzy. And then Coach snaked the key from Ozzy.
Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't he?
Hmm. Well,
Ozzy would've done the same thing, I think.
you think so?
I think so.
Yeah. Well, I hope they keep bringing it up, and I hope they keep seeing more and more about that because it's just been such a fun part of the show so far. Were you worried about Coach in the water?
That was kinda scary. Yeah. I mean, the going out and doing the deep fishing, they were trying to get me to do that on my
Yeah.
seasons, and I'm like, "I grew up on a farm, so I can, like, carry some logs, but, like, I don't have the skills to spear fish."
Hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, they're not gonna let him
We're
die
not
out
going to
there.
lose Coach like that. Yeah.
No.
Now, you talked about carrying the logs around. Were you disappointed in RizGod not contributing to being a hard worker at camp?
That was so funny to me because all of a sudden Q is so, old school mentality. Like, all of a sudden it's like, "Oh, I guess Q is a really hard worker," and
Hmm.
that's what he values, a Survivor player on. But, on my first season, I was a very hard worker. I was trying to prove to my family, myself, Wisconsin that I was gonna be out there and, like, working hard as this farm girl. And then by my 3rd season, I was probably kind of more of like a Rizzo, where I was like, I don't know if that really, like, being a hard worker doesn't really get you further on Survivor."
Hmm.
Um, but I would say, if you notice that that's something that Colby and Stephanie and Q really put a lot of weight on, then you could
Right.
probably do it a bit more.
Now, you started your Survivor experience on the tribe with Rob. I'm sure that Rob wanted to see people working hard around the camp, although there were probably some people that he didn't mind if they didn't work as hard around the camp.
Yeah, I don't think he really cared that much. I thought, "Oh, I'm gonna show everyone I'm such a hard worker, they're gonna keep me around." Maybe that impressed Philip. Like, I
Hmm.
don't think Rob cared one way or the other if people were working hard or not. I think that yeah, I don't
Yeah,
really care.
now that I think of it, he has a reputation of being like a really hard worker around the camp. And I think that he like works very hard at certain projects, but then I feel like if he's not working on something in my time with him, I feel like that he was also like laying around the shelter a lot of the time.
Oh, yeah, yeah. He was just, like, having a good time.
Like he'll build the
He's a
house, but then also he's gonna lay in the shelter all day.
Yeah, like, work hard, play hard. And
Hmm.
I don't think I mean, Rob's so strategic that I don't think he would ever say, "Oh, this person wasn't really working around
Yeah,
shelter. Like, we're gonna get rid of them." So I don't think he put that much stock into it. Apparently Q is. He's like
yeah.
very important to him.
And Angelina, he's upset that she's like a statue, he said.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think I did both, right? I worked so hard. I was like really trying to prove myself. And then also on my Game Changers, it was probably almost the merge time, the first time I opened up a coconut. So I think you just kind of see how the people are in your tribe and then kind of like adjust. But I don't really know if you have to work as hard as Colby and Stephanie.
Andrea, we saw a very extreme moment of what it's like to be on Survivor in the episode last night when we saw Christian who had to Mother Nature called to Christian and he was not prepared for the call.
Oh, I felt. Do they have to show that?
So should Christian not do interviews about it? Like, does Christian, if he wants to just like, I'm not talking about this, like, could he just not give production anything about this?
Yeah, well, I think the more you play, the more you realize you could also just not talk about it. But also, Christian might not care. It was hilarious.
Yeah.
I mean, Christian is. I don't even really remember. I mean, was he this funny in his first season?
He was a big deal in his first season.
I remember he was big. I just didn't remember him being this funny. He is hilarious. Everything he does. I think he's like probably the most entertaining person on this season so far. I'm obsessed with him. So maybe that was funny to him and he didn't care. One time, I don't know if I ever told you this, but it's just on Survivor, you get way more comfortable with aqua dumping and talking about that kind of stuff.
Sure.
Not a big deal. One time on Game Changers, somebody on our tribe took a dump in the camp area, and then a camera guy stepped in it, and the camera people were pissed. They were so mad. And we were kind of like, why wouldn't you walk a little bit further into the jungle?
Yeah. I remember hearing Ozzy being mad about something similar. So I feel like it wasn't Ozzy.
It wasn't Ozzy.
It wasn't Ozzy. And I think
I'm not gonna.
Yeah, you don't have to say, but okay, we'll leave that as a blind item. People can say in the comments who they think it was.
Oh my gosh.
Leave it at that.
Christian rocked it, honestly.
Yeah, he did. He made the best out of a bad situation.
I mean, luckily, he's such a huge character that it wasn't like he's now only known for that. Because Fishback also had that.
Yes, he did famously. Yes.
And I fear that Fishback, it was like more of a notable thing for him.
You know, that it was not presented with any sort of humor when it happened to Steven. Like Steven, it was a, harrowing experience for him where he really was sick for whatever reason. And then it was raining for days and days and days. And he had to keep getting up in the middle of the night in the rain to go out there. So it just seems like one of the worst nights of his life, where I do think that the Christian moment was a little bit more presented as this is a funny thing that happened.
Whenever something's presented as funny, it's just not a big deal. Would you be, if that happened to you, would you embrace it and want it to make air, or would you hide that?
I think I probably would not mind if it was part of the show. I feel like, who cares? I mean, I thought Christian said it best. He's like, there are certain experiences that are part of being human. And he rattled them off, and I think that was a human moment that happened to him.
When you just address something and you're like, yeah, this is what happened, and you're funny with it, it takes all the power away from anyone that wants to make fun of it. It's just like, oh yeah, this is what happened. Yeah, and you move on. I mean,
steered into it.
Yeah.
Okay, Andrea, let me bring in some questions for you from the listeners of the podcast, and so. Okay, all right. We got so many different topics that we could talk about. Okay. We talked about this a little bit already, but this is from Trustin, who says, who do you think is the player other than perhaps yourself that you would have loved to have seen play on Survivor 50? I know you mentioned Jerry Manthe.
Yeah, I mean, Jerry, that's a big bummer. I mean, I would have loved to see you. I'm not just saying that because we're chatting.
I appreciate that.
You get a call?
I did get a call.
You did,
And
just one.
I got a call and I was in the mix. I said yes. And then I was talking to them, sporadically. And then I got to the point where I did a Zoom with the producers, but, I guess I wasn't bringing the heat.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm not even, I've never even like complained about it in terms of like, I totally understand the prerogative. And in looking back at it, like I think in my own personal reflection, I've had mixed feelings about going back, and not so much about the game and being a player on the show or even what people were going to say. My mixed feelings come from, I don't know what it would have done to the podcast in terms of like, this is my job. This is what I do. And so what would that have looked like for me to be on Survivor 50? And then, would I just have to shut the podcast down? Would it be fill-in hosts for 6 months or whatever on the podcast? So, and we never really had those conversations. So I did have some hesitation about that part of it. And maybe that ended up bleeding into, maybe they were feeling like, oh, he's not all in, so let's go in a different direction.
Yeah.
But I would have been all in on the island.
Yeah. Yeah. That's how I am too. I kind of play a little bit like, well, we'll see. I'm not like every day I'm not thinking about Survivor.
Yeah.
But I'm so sickly competitive. It's in my bones that if I would be out there, I would be just, especially now with this much time, like I would be really good.
So maybe if I would have gotten on the calls with them and been like I'm gonna kill it. You wait, you get me out there. But I feel like that when they call Boston Rob, that's not how he is on on Zoom.
Yeah, I don't know if that even like matters that much. It's hard to know, 'cause they know us. Yeah, I mean, other players would be okay. Malcolm, I already said him, but like, get Malcolm back out there.
I would have loved to have seen Malcolm come back, and I feel like I don't know. He did Snake in the Grass a couple of years ago, but yeah, he would have been so good because I really feel like that he's somebody who his story is not finished, and especially in the way he went out on Game Changers.
Malcolm is one of the best freaking Survivor players, just like as a character. And yeah, his story's not finished. I don't think Game Changers, that shouldn't even count. Like that was just like, you should have gotten back out there because like in the next returning season, because that just wasn't fair. I would have loved it. Yeah, he would have been so good. I'm trying to think who else. I mean, we kind of already said like the big ones like Jesse. Even like
Who else from your era though? Like that whole middle time of Survivor that they did not bring anybody back from.
I mean, we haven't seen Kelly Wentworth in a bit. Like she would have been good. Who else? I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think of middle era players right now.
Yeah. Well, a lot did come back there were a lot of returning player seasons in that era.
Yeah. Yeah. Dom.
Dom Abate is another big one. I don't know why he got lost in the shuffle.
Yeah, he got lost.
Yeah.
That's what happens. It's like you miss out and then I don't know.
Okay. Let's talk about this. And we were talking about this a little bit in terms of Game Changers. You said it was a season that had like a darkness around it, but PD Mac wants to know, what do you think makes a returning player season successful and fun rather than a disappointing returning player season?
I mean, I think the cast has a lot to do with it. I don't think the Game Changers cast was that great. And I think this cast, although I wanted more old school players, I do think it's a really like upbeat, positive cast. Like I just think it's so fun. I think the boot order also just changes the season. I remember on Game Changers, it was like, okay, so Tony's gone, Malcolm's gone, JT's gone, now Sandra's gone. And I was looking at post merge, and because I've been in media now, because I'm on the other side of things, I couldn't help but just
feel it.
Oh, I remember somebody from the season was like, this is going to be the best season ever. Like this season's so good. And I was remembering all the people that were voted out that were like the best, I think, personalities of the whole season. They were already gone. And I remember even saying to a producer, like, dude, this season kind of sucks, doesn't it? Like, I just was like, I'm like, I don't know about this.
Yeah. And I've never been on any reality shows where that happens.
What?
I've never been on any reality shows where that's also the case.
Where like all the good people go?
Never.
Oh, yeah. No, that just happened to you. Yeah, that's kind of, I feel like your traitor season was my Game Changers. Of course, like, whatever. I don't think I'm gonna get any hate for that. Because I'm looping myself in that too. Like Malcolm, JT, Sandra, Tony, they're bigger players than me. And I felt like we just like lost all the good ones. But anyway, I think that, yeah, like the boot order matters, just the vibes, like the vibes of Game Changers were just like, they were just like a soul suck.
Yeah.
It's funny because I recently talked to Aubrey, and I don't think she's counting this season in there, but she told me the Game Changers was like her favorite season of the one she played. And I'm like, whoa, because that was my least favorite. But Aubrey was my like favorite part of the season. Yeah. So it's just so interesting. Yeah. I mean, it's hard to beat your first season because like the first time you play Survivor, you're like, whoa, Jeff Probst, I came in on a helicopter. We make a shelter. Where do we get the water from? Like, it's so exciting. But then the more you play, the more you're just like really disappointed in yourself. Like Game Changers, I think I'm also saying that. I don't know if everyone else feels that it was a dark season. Maybe it's just me and I'm projecting. It's just like, I was just like, man, Andrea, you're playing for the third time and now this was your worst placement. You're a failure. You're a loser. It just, for me, was tough.
Well, I can understand why you would feel that way, but I in a lot of ways, I feel like, in my mind, I feel like that maybe that was the season that you had the best chance to win.
I know.
And you really, I mean, what did you come in? Did you come in 8th place?
I was 8th, yeah. I went from like 7th to 8th, yeah.
So you only went down one spot, but you were right there.
No, trust me, I know.
Yeah.
No. Yep, 3-time loser.
Hey, listen, loser so far.
No, also, I had the best case scenario besides winning.
Yeah.
I mean, I think when you get to play, you get a great edit. The edit always made me look maybe even slightly better than actually how I played. So I came out great because I left on a high note where, she could have won. Whereas, I didn't get a villain edit. I didn't get it was great. Besides winning, I had like the best case scenario, honestly.
Right. And looking back, that it was a mistake that Cirie got rid of you, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, because Advantage Getting is around the corner.
Yeah, this is the problem.
You weren't coming for Cirie. No.
The problem is Sarah, I think, is like one of the best Survivor players that ever existed.
Yeah.
I mean, I obviously Rob's really good, but like for her second time to play, she was diabolical. She was so good. Like, she is a scary good Survivor player. So Cirie had every single person on that merge thinking they were like 1 and 2 with Sarah. We all thought Sarah was our actual best friend. Everyone. I got voted off and I was talking to Ozzy and he was like, oh, yeah, Sarah was my number 1. And then Zeke said, Sarah was my number 1. Aubrey, Cirie, everybody. I mean, I have to give it to her. She was so good.
Yeah, she's underrated as a player.
Yeah, but I think everyone that played with her knows how good she was. I mean, she had, Cirie thought.
I love this theory about there are some people that have charisma on TV, but then you meet them in person and they don't really have that. And I think that Sarah might be one of those people that she seems to have incredible charisma in person, but it's one of those things where it doesn't necessarily translate to television.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
And some people have both, like you.
Yeah, it's really weird because you're exactly spot on. Because I'm telling you, I thought Sarah was my best friend. I thought we were laughing together. Like I thought we were like soul sisters. So did every single person. We had so much fun. Watching it, you would never think that. And then you see her, the way she actually talks about you, and you're like, oh, she actually didn't even like me. So it's crazy, but you're spot on with that assessment.
And I think there's Survivor players that they may have the charisma where the audience loves them, but the people on the island aren't really picking up what they're putting down. And then you have people like Sarah who the people who are on the island with them just adore them, but it doesn't really resonate with the audience.
Yeah, it's interesting. What are you? You're the same.
When the people in person like me and then
Yeah,
not
do people in person, do people like you
it's
as much as the screen?
it's hard. I think that I just in my own self-reflection, I feel like that the people in real life don't connect with me as well as the people connect with me on the other side of the screen. And it's been something that I've really tried to work on as a person of trying to bring some of what I can do talking to you on a screen into the real world.
Wow, that's a really good reflection there.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
I feel like in the confines of this, I feel like I'm never really at a loss for what to say in the confines of this. But in the real world, I feel like I really struggle with, okay, now what do we do? Now where do we go? What next? Where the structure around this, I feel like I feel very comfortable with it, and I don't always feel that in real life.
Yeah, that's interesting.
But I don't know if that's necessarily having the if it's the same thing, but in terms of me personally, I'm much more at home doing this and having this conversation than if we went out to lunch, then I feel like it might be more awkward.
Hey, that's so funny. I mean,
It might be
I
fun. I mean,
I think it would be fun. We've hung out outside
yeah.
of well, I mean, mostly at Survivor things, but I actually know exactly what you mean. Because even though this is so easy and seamless, put us at a restaurant for lunch and would it maybe it would be kind of awkward. Why
Yeah.
is that?
I
Because
don't know.
we can we could just talk about Survivor, I guess. No, I think well, I love connecting with people. I think if we went out for lunch, it would be fine.
I
And
don't think it would be super awkward.
you can
I think
rely on me because I'm good at like I know what you're saying too, because I'm a very social person and I can connect with like
mhm.
anybody. I could connect, I could connect with this wall over here. So I would make it comfortable, but I know what you're saying. Sometimes when you're in those situations where maybe you don't know
Yeah.
where to lead the conversation, but I think maybe you need to just trust yourself more.
Maybe. And this just comes more naturally. I don't think it would be like I would have so much anxiety to go and have lunch, but this is the part where, okay, we know a little bit more how this is going to go. And then in the real world, there's so many other X factors.
I mean, I feel that way. I've interviewed what, like thousands of celebrities, and
Hmm.
they've all been great, and we have tons to talk about. But I don't. If I had to go out to lunch with those people, I think I'd pass. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Which, like, I don't know. It's just sometimes I'm more. I think people think I am extremely outgoing, but I actually am way more introverted than people think.
Yeah.
I don't. I get my energy not from small talk
Yeah.
and chit chatting.
Yeah. I get that also.
Yeah.
Um, Let me bring in
Not to do
a
a therapy carousel on you or anything.
yeah, not a therapy carousel. But what did you think about the way that Christian handled the Joe situation since you bring up the therapy carousel? Because I thought that that was also super interesting how Christian's approach to Joe was so different than what we saw with Rick.
Yeah, I think Christian did kind of what I was saying would be the strategy with Joe. I mean, he was a little bit more attentive. He was rocking him in the hammock. He was peering through the
Hmm.
hammock. He was right there with him. I think Christian has just an impeccable read on people and what they need. And so I
Yeah.
think we did see with Christian is he knows it's maybe more work, but he's willing to put in that work and see what that person is going to need to feel comfortable. So yeah, I'm super impressed with Christian.
Yeah, Christian's really good. If you go back to in David versus Goliath, where, he was with Gabby, and there were times when Gabby was not feeling comfortable, and he was there to be able to, put people at ease. And he does seem to have a gift in that, where somebody is feeling some type of way on Survivor, and he's able to bring them comfort and get them back to a place where they're feeling good.
Yeah. I think that's something I've struggled with in the past. And I think that you kind of have to put yourself in the situation where you're going above and beyond what you would normally feel comfortable with.
Hmm.
Because sometimes with me, I feel that my struggle on Survivor has been I don't really like if someone's coming for me or like doesn't like me in the game, I just won't like try to explore that. And what I wish I would have done is like at least tried to build an alliance with a Brad or a Debbie or a Troyzan.
Hmm.
So I think we all have these kind of blocks sometimes, and I think Christian's doing a good job of maybe like normally that wouldn't be his approach, but knowing like, well, you kind of have to go a little bit above and beyond.
Yeah. Which is the part that you struggle with being the person who's able to soothe somebody, or a person who needs to get that additional support from somebody?
Um, Wait, you're saying what do I struggle? Am I the one that needs
Yeah,
more
you
support?
say, well, you said that it's a thing that you struggle with. And is it you struggle with being able to be the Christian and being able to make other people feel better?
I think I do a little bit. I
Hmm.
mean, I'm a very empathetic person, but I feel like my Survivor game could have been better by me putting myself out on a limb and like checking in with people more or trying to make some sort of alliance with the people that were targeting me. I have the most votes against me in the history of Survivor.
Wow.
Lest we forget, they're threatened.
I did forget.
They're threatened. But
Hmm.
no, I mean, but in the past, when people have targeted me, then I've just been like, well, I guess they're the enemy. Like, I'm not mean to them and we're fine, but I just know they're coming after me. And I just accepted that as fact. Now, looking back, I'm like, why wouldn't I try to, hey, you've been coming for me. I voted for you. Why don't we just try this? And then, like, keep fostering and, like, comforting that person and, like, at least trying to make something out of it instead of just
Hmm.
accepting they're going to keep voting for me. I am a very empathetic person, but sometimes I do struggle with showing it. And I think that it's hard on Survivor. And I think you have to like kind of force yourself to tap into that a little bit.
Here's a question from Worth Playing for 2197. Um, What's the best way to navigate an early tribe swap on a returning player season? Okay, that these players are going to end up with all new people. Like, how do you make sure that you're not just the easy vote after a tribe swap?
Ugh, I don't know. I mean, it's so hard. I That's why I don't love
Hmm.
swaps. I love like maybe one switch up, but I didn't have to deal with that many swaps
Yeah.
because every time we swapped, I was super lucky. There was just a majority.
Yeah.
So I don't have the perspective of being swapped into a minority, and I don't even know. You just got to start sucking up, talk to everybody, weaseling your way in.
Did you go to a tribal council before the merge on Game Changers?
It was when not for a long time on Game
Yeah.
Changers. We were crushing. I was with Ozzy. I swapped together with Ozzy and
Yeah.
Sarah several times, and we were just like dominating challenges. But then when we swapped into the two before the merge, that was when we voted out Sandra and then Varner.
Yeah. Okay.
So honestly, I don't have a good answer for this because every time I've swapped, I've been in the majority. So if you're in the majority, you're solidifying those numbers.
Hmm.
If you're in the minority, best of luck.
Yeah. Sorry. We see you wouldn't want to be a. Cruises 8 says, if Andrea was on this season and could pick one tribe to be on, which one and how do you think you would have performed? Okay, so out
Wow,
of these
let me
three
pull out my
groups,
notes for the first time.
yes.
Okay,
Oh,
okay. Good thing you got me at episode 2 before. I mean, I don't even know. After the swap, it's like then you have to remember the original tribe, the swap tribe, and then the second swap tribe.
yeah. I think what was so hard on Game Changers also was because that there were basically like 2 episodes in one night, the pre-swap. So it was really only as a viewer, we had one night where you were in the original tribes, and then we come back and next week drop your buffs. And so we like at least with this, we got to live with this for 2 weeks as a viewer. So we kind of remember what these tribes look like.
Yeah. I think I would have crushed on Vatu
Okay, the Red
and
Tribe.
yeah, and Sela.
Okay.
Okay, Vatu because it's Q, Genevieve, Colby, Stephanie, Aubrey, Angelina, Rizzo, and I would have you best believe I would have been one of the hard workers because I would have
Yes.
noticed that matters. So I would have been with because I do think I am like more of an old school player. I think Colby and Stephanie would have loved me. Q,
We got
I
to
mean,
work with Andrea.
yeah, I mean, Q, I've met him. I love him. Like, it would have been great. Love Genevieve. And I also love Aubrey and Angelina and Rizzo. I love that whole tribe.
Yeah.
That tribe, I think I could have had alliances with like so many different groups. I can't find one person on that tribe that I wouldn't get along with.
Yeah.
And then Sela, we've got, yeah, Joe, Christian, Devens, Cirie, Ozzy, Savannah. I think a lot of those people would want to be aligned with me. I'd be with Cirie and Ozzy for sure in a 3. And then, I mean, I've never even met Devens. I just know we would get along. We also a TV reporter kind of
Mhm.
thing. I also like really get along with like the Christians and the Emily Flippens.
Yeah.
Like, I think I would have done in general. I think with all this entire cast, I feel like and maybe I'm slightly delusional, but like I really think that everybody would want to work with me.
Yeah, I think that the Orange Tribe is the one I also think that I would have done the best on if I was there. What about the Blue Tribe? Are they feeling you also?
Not as much.
Yeah.
I don't think okay, we're looking at what? Jonathan, Coach, Mike White, Charlie, D, Chrissy, Tiffany, Camilla. If I'm missing anybody, let me know. But Jonathan, I don't think sometimes those like big dudes don't like me. I think they're
Why? What
it's
big dude didn't like you?
Malcolm's not a big dude, but like I'm projecting from
Yeah.
Malcolm
I thought you
and
were like brother and sister.
we were, but they voted for me a million times.
True.
I think like challenge beasts sometimes like they'll see like maybe the women counterpart and like not I don't know if Jonathan would like me. I don't know, I'm just guessing. I have no idea.
I don't
Uh,
know. I think he'd be like, Miss Andrea, it's so nice to meet you. Mr. Boston Rob speaks very highly of you.
I mean, probably would have a pregame advantage there because
Mm-hmm.
Boston Rob would say like, "I'll talk to Andrea." Like maybe he would have set that
Mm-hmm.
up. Coach, if he's coming to my event, he better like me.
Yeah.
I love characters like Coach though. I always have and I always will. And then Charlie, I think he'd really like me. I think Dee would like me. I think
Yeah.
Chrissy, obsessed. Actually, everyone's
Andrea,
obsessed
now
with Rob.
look, don't call me a like a hypocrite here, but now I feel like you have to come back in one of these returning player seasons.
I mean, this season, now they look at it across the board, I think everyone would be so into me.
Yeah.
But I
Because I
mean, whatever.
think that
That's
as
just
a
me.
younger person, and I hope this doesn't come across as disrespectful, I think that people looked at you like, oh, Andrea, she plays very hard. She's like a really like hard gamer. She's gonna really go for it. But I think that as like you've matured as a on your own journey, like I don't think that people look at you in that way.
No, I don't. I mean, I think one of my biggest problems playing Survivor is don't I underestimate what my threat level is. So I think that does come to bite me. Like I don't see myself as that big of a threat. And
Yeah.
I've always voted out because of like the challenge stuff. So I think kind of like with enough time, also establishing that I'm not, like I don't think going out on playing with these people I'd be a huge challenge threat. There's
Yeah.
way bigger threats. On a season like this, I probably would have done well because I don't know if I stand out as that much of a threat with these people. But I think I just have enough life experience and coming from like farm town, Wisconsin to then New York City and the TV stuff. I mean, I just think there's so many different ways that I can kind of change my personality to fit with all these different groups. Um, because like I think some people they cannot morph to fit old school people like Colby and Stephanie
Yeah.
and Q. Like Rizzo is not doing well with that, and Angelina is not doing well with that. And well, actually, Rizzo was starting to have some hope there, but like there's just like I can switch back and forth pretty easily just because I come from like this farm background, but then I also like I grew up like one of the guys like working on the farm, but also I'm such a girl's girl. Like I don't know, I just think I
Yeah.
would have won the season.
But that's like Boston Rob, who can, with whoever he's with, he can sort of, shift up the version of you that he is giving those people. Like he could be the older brother, but he could also be the dad. He could also like be able to, give you a different version of himself.
Yeah, I mean, I'm acting like it's a novel concept for a Survivor player to switch up their
But that's what the
perspective.
really great ones have.
Well, yeah, I mean, I would say 50% of these people can do that.
Mm-hmm.
There's certain people that is them. And
Yeah.
like Q, he's not really gonna be like shifting his personality too much with different groups, but like, because he's just so who he is. Same with Coach, right? Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess there's just certain people that are very like, this is who they are. But then like you do get a lot of people that are kind of just morphing a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's the difference between the players and the characters of Survivor, where the great players are able to give a different version of themselves to whoever. And like you're talking about, like with Sarah, that she was able to, become the person that all these different people needed. But then when you think about the characters of Survivor, like a Philip, for instance, like he is going to be pretty much the same with whoever he's dealing with. And those are people that are also so fun to watch, where they're never going to be able to change who they are. And you put them in these different situations and you're going to get really interesting television. And I think that Joe ends up being a person who Joe is. And I think that he's really struggling in this group of people who, like, he kind of needs to be a different version of Joe.
Yeah, I agree. I think when you're at this level of play, you have to be able to shift and not be stuck in your ways. So that's where you're going to see a big separation. I don't know. I think I've always been good at connecting with a lot of different people because of my profession.
Mm-hmm.
And it is kind of scary. Like when I'm like hosting a certain episode or TV show or doing an interview, I become so invested in that person and like I'm their best friend. But then as soon as it's done, I'm like, I don't know. Like I'm just like, okay, my brain unloads and then I think the next thing comes in. And so I think that does make a good Survivor player, but it is kind of scary sometimes because you kind of wonder, how do I actually feel about this person or this situation?
Andrea, what do you think was the most popular thing people wanted to know from you in the questions we got from the audience?
What do I think?
Yeah.
Wait, so do you have the answer and you're asking?
I do have the answer.
Oh, so you're wondering what I'm gonna guess. Well, I'm sure people wanted to know about season 50. You're shaking your head.
I mean, I guess so. As a bucket, yeah, I guess that people did want to know the most about your thoughts on things about season 50. But there was one specific thing people really wanted to know about.
Okay, what is it?
People wanted to know about your recent meetup with a contestant from Big Brother 27.
Oh my gosh. For real?
Yeah.
A lot of people?
Yeah. Okay.
That's crazy.
So, and I don't know if we could pull up the post, how you feel about that. But let me give you some of these questions. Okay. All right. Isabel Smith wants to know, how was coffee with Vince? Eric T. Nelson wants to know, ask her about meeting Vince from Big Brother 27. Ethan H2 says, ask her about her link up with Vinny the Lip Panero. Llama Drama 999 says, did you interview Vinny the Lip and did he convince you to go on Big Brothers? This is Aaron Dobbs 14. What you and Vince doing yesterday?
Oh my gosh. Wait, this is crazy.
Yes, this is dumbest B word in lab says, what was it like to hang out with Vince and why? At ADCC6NV, how was it meeting Vinny the Lip? And Sammy Sunson says, are you and Vince together?
Oh my God.
And so here is a post of that Vince shared on Instagram that he met up with you for coffee.
Wow. At my favorite coffee shop, Discourse.
Yes.
All right, I guess I have to come clean. No, it's not that interesting. Because
he's a little reclusive.
What?
He's a little bit of a recluse.
Yeah.
He's not really out there.
Yeah. And he warned me about this.
Yes.
And I didn't believe him because I live in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Although I get recognized a lot because now Survivor has this new resurgence of fans. But like no one really cares about like if I'm grabbing coffee with somebody. And he was very paranoid about it and was like, you might get hate DMs. I'm like, bring it on. But no, it's not that interesting. He reached out to me. He was in Milwaukee for, I don't know, his friend's work thing. And he just was asking me for recommendations in
Wow.
Milwaukee. So I've never watched Big Brother. I
Hmm.
don't know the lore. I really don't know the lore.
Yeah.
So I just am like so stoked to have another reality person come to Milwaukee, which is my city that I love.
Yeah.
That doesn't get enough hype, in my opinion. So I just was like, hey, these are my favorite spots. Also, I am always at this coffee shop discourse. I guess I'll say it, whatever. As a public place, I probably shouldn't say that. Because then people are gonna just like show up there. But
Hmm.
give them more business. We just met up for coffee and chatted for like hours. He's great. We're not dating. I actually have a boyfriend.
Yes.
So it wasn't anything. I don't know anything about his season. I get the vibe from like some online stuff that he had like a bad reputation or something. But I will report he was very nice
Yeah.
and there's not much more to it.
Yeah. I didn't know he was a Survivor fan like that.
He said he's a huge Survivor fan, and he's also told me that I was his Survivor crush.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know if he had different intentions here. But for me, it was like one reality star is in my town, which never happens. So I'm gonna show them the best coffee spots.
Yeah.
And I will say my boyfriend was like, yeah, there's nothing weird about it. But
Yes.
he did reach out to me and said he wanted to post that on his story and he was worried about it. And I was like, oh, I did not
But
care.
you didn't get any hate DMs or anything, right?
Not one.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
no one. But I also just think, I mean, I think there were some threads on it.
Hmm.
And then, but this is the thing. He is so fresh off of his show.
Right.
And everything's really serious. And I've been there. I've been in this whole world for 15 years. There is
Yeah.
nothing you could say to me that I haven't heard already. So I feel for people like that. I'm very open to anyone that's on a reality show, especially Survivor and Big Brother just feels like family.
Yeah.
To me, I'm like, it could be, I mean, Vinny's really nice. Like, I don't want to like put him down by saying it could be anybody, but I feel like if I see the DM from a Survivor or Big Brother person, they're like, I'm in Milwaukee. I'd be like, what?
Yeah.
No one's here.
Well, he is a little especially interesting. Of course, there was a lot of interest in him during his season, but he also has a very interesting online presence in that he, like many people from Big Brother, are just online posting all the time. And after he came out of the house, I think there was a lot of questions about what's going on with him and his girlfriend. And you didn't get any updates, that he really had like no online presence after. And so whenever he pops up on anything, it's always kind of a big deal because he is just not part of the like always online world.
Yeah. I mean, we talked a little bit about that. I
Hmm.
think, yeah, I think that he's in such a tricky situation with when you go on a show like this and then
Yeah.
everyone is just like eagle-eyed, like waiting for your next post, you're overthinking it so much. Whereas, I don't know, I've been off the show for 10 years, so I just
Right.
post whatever. And it's
Yeah.
a little bit like, as a Survivor player, right away, you get a lot of attention. Everyone's, looking at everything you're doing. They're reposting it on Reddit or the old blogs, like, those blogs we were on.
Hmm.
So I've been there. I'm just so far removed where I'm like, I don't know. I don't care if people are speculating about anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then for him, that he was part of like the 24/7 live feeds of like people are watching him all 24 hours a day. And then it's kind of like, okay, you're watching this guy for 24 hours a day for 80 days in a row. And then all of a sudden, poof, he's gone. And
I would
so I think there's a lot of interest. It's been an interesting social media presence that he has, because I think the reason why there's so much like fanfare about him is because he almost never posts anything.
Wow, and then I was the post.
You were the
Wow,
post.
I am honored.
Yeah. Okay.
I didn't repost it. I was worried.
You were going to get hate DMs.
No, I don't,
Hmm.
I don't want to make it seem like we are dating.
Yeah, whether you weren't hard launching your relationship with Vince,
No.
with Vinny the Lip. Yeah.
What's
Okay.
the lip thing about?
I think that he was mouthy, I think that was a nickname that he got in the house.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. All right, Andrea, next Wednesday night, you've got Coach and Ben Katzman and Jerry Manthe, and you're going to be rocking out in Milwaukee.
Yeah. Also, my sibling, or Charlotte, you can come through if you want. Okay, my friend Lindsay's here too. Okay, that's fine. Sorry, Rob.
Yeah.
I live with my sister.
Okay.
She also loves Survivor.
Yes. Wait, what about Big Brother? Was she excited that you met up with Vince?
She doesn't watch Big Brother yet.
Okay.
We've had interruptions before when you and I have podcasted. Remember,
Yes.
I did the worm for Miss Survivor, and then the neighbors came up and told me I was like, it seemed like that I was breaking.
I think that was maybe 2012. I think that was going. So it's been a while.
Yeah, but we'll get through this.
Yes.
Slight interruption.
You're good.
So yeah, the events next week. I'm excited.
Yeah. And you told me it's sold out, but if somebody Venmos you enough money that they could still get in.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess. I mean,
yeah. What are you talking? Like maybe like triple figures?
Yeah. I mean, just DM me. I'll see what I can do. It's sold out weeks ago, which is exciting because it's like 350 tickets, and
that's incredible.
Yeah, it's great. I'm telling you, there's just like a huge community that we've kind of built here in Milwaukee, so that's really exciting. And but I guess like if you didn't get a ticket and you really want to go, just DM me. I'll see if there's any maybe we can kind of have a little bit of a wait list, or I can talk to the venue and see how many more. I'm not going to charge I'm not going to make you pay like a ton more.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just see what I can do, basically.
See what you can do. Okay. All right. Well, that's really exciting. And then anything else fun that you have going on you want to tell people to check out? What about the links for the Milwaukee podcast?
Yeah. If you kind of have to like Wisconsin or me talking about Wisconsin, but the podcast is the Cabin Podcast on social media, and
it looks really, the set is beautiful.
It's great. We're in it's called the Cabin. We're in this little cabin, vibes. So if you're in the Midwest, we give a lot of cool recommendations and history, and check it out.
Okay. Andrea, well, this was so fun to get to catch up.
I know. We'll do lunch next.
Lunch next, and it won't be awkward at all. And then I'll post a picture on my Instagram, and you won't reshare it. Yeah. Yes, and then you'll get a lot of questions about, was it awkward when you had lunch with Rob or what? Tell us the real tea. And you're like, it wasn't that awkward.
No, we would be great.
It was fine.
I've known you for 15 years now at this point.
Yeah, it would be fun. But this was just such a treat. It means a lot to me that you came on and spent the afternoon talking about all this Survivor stuff. And I know you don't do a lot of these, and so I really appreciate it.
I hope that
you were incredible.
Because I just haven't gone on. I just say no to all Survivor podcasts.
I know you do. And that's why it's really so meaningful to me that you came on and did this. And it was a really interesting conversation. I really value all of the insight that you bring to all of this and these relationships that you have with these players. And so you were a perfect guest to have this season.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you.
Yeah. Andrea, Miss Survivor, thank you so much. To everybody who joined us this whole way through, we love to hear your feedback as well. And of course, check out everything we have going on over on our Patreon, where I will be taking your questions on our live Q&A coming up on Friday, plus Club Condo. Andrea, do you know I wrote a book about Survivor?
Wait, I didn't know that.
I did. It's called The Tribe and I Have Spoken, and it is available coming out this May. Check out robhasabook.com to hear all about the lore and legacy of 25 years of Survivor. Thank you so much. Take care, everybody. Have a good one. Bye. This is RHAP. We know reality TV.